Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Yes, Luffy will fly into a rage when he finds out that Boa Hancock was attacked by Blackbeard, and that will show him more than he realizes about his own feelings. Guys, we recently saw Blackbeard's attack on Amazon Lily, revealed in chapter 1059, where Teach invades the island of the Amazons to steal Hancock's Mero Mero no Mi, turning the season to chaos with his Yami Yami no Mi and Quake Quake no Mi. Hancock, the Empress with a bounty of 1,659,000,000 in chapter 956, fiercely resists, petrifying underlings like Van Augur and Devon with a gaze that turns desire into stone, just like she did to Marines at Marineford in chapter 580. But the attack is brutal. Blackbeard temporarily captures her, forcing her to fight for her life until Rayleigh steps in with his supreme haki, saving the day but leaving Amazon Lily in ruins. Luffy, sailing toward the future after Wano in chapter 1057, might discover this through a newspaper or a Vivre card from Hancock, like the ones she uses in chapter 523 when she declares her love for him. His first reaction would be slamming his fist on the Sunny's table, shouting, "Shanks! No! Hancock! Teach attacked her? Let's beat him up right now!" Echoing his rage against villains who hurt his friends, like when he declared war on the government for Robin in chapter 398. Luffy's fury would be instant and visceral because Hancock isn't just any ally. She saved him an Impel Down in chapter 528, pretending betrayal to hide food and keys, and at Marineford in chapter 580, where she risked everything to protect him from Smoker and the Admirals. He sees her as a strong friend, calling her Hancock with respect in chapter 523 when he rejects her marriage proposal but thanks her for her help. Learning about Blackbeard's attack, who is already his enemy after killing Ace in chapter 576 and ambushing Law in chapter 1081, would make Luffy explode like an overloaded gear second. He could even sail straight to Teach's territory, ignoring plans just like in chapter 659 when he rushed into Punk Hazard on impulse. But the romantic twist? Luffy, clueless about love, like when he brushed off Hancock's flirting in chapter 523 saying, "Mary, that's silly, I just want to be free," could feel something new, a protective jealousy that stirs emotions. Like when he worried about Nami in Arlong Park in chapter 81, but amplified by his unique connection with Hancock. The discovery could happen in Elbaf, the current arc, in chapter 1158, where giants tell legends and Shanks appears, maybe delivering a message from Hancock through a Vivre card, like Lola did with Nami in chapter 489, to guide her in Whole Cake. Luffy, reading the newspaper about Teach's attack, would get flaming eyes, just like when he heard about Ace being captured in chapter 558, and say, "Hancock's hurt. Teach, you're gonna pay big time." But when he remembers moments with her, like her blushing at the sight of him in Amazon Lily in chapter 523, or risking her life for him at Marineford, he might pause, scratching his head. Why does this make me so mad? She's strong, but I don't want anyone touching her. That would be the awakening. Luffy, who usually only cares about friends and meat, discovering a romantic liking, maybe even confusing it with hunger at first, just like when he mixes feelings with food in chapter 1045 during Gear 5. It would be hilarious and touching to see him running to the Sunny, shouting to Zoro and Sanji, "Guys, Hancock's in danger. Let's save her and have a feast after." Luffy's reaction would be a mix of childish rage and fierce protection, like when he declared war on the government for Nico Robin in chapter 398, but with a personal tone because of Hancock's obvious affection. In chapter 580, she calls him husband in delirium. Luffy, confused, laughs it off, but Teach's attack in chapter 1059 could make him see it differently, awakening a jealousy he doesn't understand, saying, "Teach attacked Hancock? She's my friend. Nobody hurts my friends." Deep down, though, it would be the trigger for liking her, the way Oda subtly builds relationships, like Sanji's loyalty to Zeph in chapter 56. Luffy could set sail to confront Blackbeard, driven not just by revenge, but by a new feeling he barely understands. Maybe even confessing in the heat of battle, "Hancock, I like you, okay? Let's eat meat together forever." Zoro, always the tough one, would laugh at Luffy's confusion, but support him. "Captain, if it's to save a princess, we'll cut down whoever we need to." Sanji, jealous, would fume while smoking, "Hancock-san in danger. Teach is gonna turn into barbecue." This theory paints Luffy discovering romance through danger, the same way he grows through loss in chapter 576 with Ace, but with the lighthearted and funny touch that Oda loves. Hancock, once saved, would blush, "Luffy, you came for me? My husband," and Luffy scratching his head. "Husband? Whatever, let's party." This discovery would be epic, raising Luffy's arc from innocent pirate to someone who understands bonds beyond friendship while humiliating Blackbeard once again. Luffy, finding out that Boa Hancock was attacked by Blackbeard, would be a spark of rage and protection that could awaken something new in him, maybe realizing he likes her beyond friendship. Let's explore this this theory with 4,000 words of lively speculation based on the manga up to September 2025, focusing on Luffy's explosive reaction and how this event could change his view of Hancock. Blackbeard's attack on Amazon Lily, revealed in chapter 1059, is the perfect trigger for this theory. Teach invades the island to steal Hancock's Mero no Mi, throwing everything into chaos with his Yami Yami no Mi and Quake no Mi, capturing her temporarily before Rayleigh steps in with Supreme Haki. Hancock, with her bounty of 1,659,000,000 in chapter 956, resists by petrifying underlings like Van Augur and Devon, but the incident leaves her vulnerable, echoing her strength as a former warlord who helped Luffy at Marineford in chapter 580. Luffy, sailing after Wano in chapter 1057, would discover this through a newspaper or a message from Rayleigh, like the Vivra cards that connect allies in chapter 489. His first reaction would be pure instinctive rage, just like when he declared war on the government for Robin in chapter 398. Flaming eyes, clenched fist, shouting, "Teach attacked Hancock, he's gonna pay big time." Luffy sees Hancock as a strong friend who saved him in Impel Down in chapter 528, hiding keys and food, and risked everything for him at Marineford in chapter 580. So the attack would strike at his sense of loyalty, like when he erupted for Nami in Arlong Park in chapter 81. But the romantic twist would come from the emotional impact. Luffy, clueless about love like when he rejected Hancock's marriage in chapter 523, saying, "Mary? That's silly. I just want to be free," could feel a protective jealousy that makes him stop and think. In chapter 523, he laughs off her flirting, but Teach's attack in chapter 1059, which almost robs her of freedom, could make Luffy wonder, why does this make me so mad? Hancock's strong, but I don't want anyone hurting her. That would be the awakening. A liking he confuses with hunger or friendship, like how he mixes feelings with food in chapter 1045 during Gear 5. Luffy would set sail for Teach's territory, ignoring plans just like in Punk Hazard in chapter 659, driven not only by revenge, but by a new feeling he can't yet explain, maybe even confessing during the rescue. Hancock, I like you, okay? Let's eat meat together. This event would be the catalyst, the same way Oda uses danger to evolve relationships, like Sanji protecting Zeph in chapter 56, but with a funny, lighthearted twist for Luffy. Luffy's reaction would be visceral and impulsive, just like when he hears about Ace being captured in chapter 558 and rushes to Impel Down. He could slam the Sunny, demanding from Nami a direct course. Hancock's in danger? Let's save her right now. His rage against Blackbeard, already boiling since Ace's death in chapter 576, would take on a personal touch. Teach not only killed his brother, but also attacked someone Luffy sees as part of his extended family, the same way he protects all his friends in chapter 1001 against Kaido. But the liking would emerge subtly. When he remembers Hancock blushing on Amazon Lily in chapter 523, or risking her life for him at Marineford, Luffy might scratch his head. Why does my stomach growl when I think of her? Must be hunger. But let's save her first. That would be hilarious. Luffy confusing romance with appetite, the same way Oda uses humor to develop characters, like Usopp lying about courage in chapter 40 before growing from it. The event could change everything for Luffy, who prioritizes freedom and friends over romance, like when he rejects Alvida's advances in chapter 42, or ignores beauties in Sabaody in chapter 501. But Teach's attack, threatening Hancock's freedom in chapter 1059, would hit his core. He hates tyrants who oppress the weak, like Arlong in chapter 93. This would awaken a protective liking, making Luffy see Hancock not just as a strong ally, but as someone special, maybe leading to a sweet scene where he rescues her and says, "Hancock, are you okay? Don't let anyone hurt you again. I'll protect you." Hancock, who dreams of marrying him in chapter 523, would blush, and Luffy, confused, would laugh, "Marry? Not yet, but let's celebrate with meat." That awakening would be subtle, the way Oda builds feelings without forcing them, like Zoro's loyalty to Kuina in chapter 5, but with Luffy's innocent humor. Luffy's fury against Blackbeard would be amplified, just like when he attacks Bellamy for mocking dreams in chapter 223. Teach, who already stole devil fruits and killed allies in chapter 577, would become a personal target. Luffy could unleash Gear 5 during the rescue, turning Teach's ship into a circus in chapter 1045, laughing while stretching his fists. "Teach, you attacked Hancock? Time to play." But his feelings for Hancock would add depth. Luffy, who cried for Ace in chapter 576, could feel a new kind of fear of losing someone he likes, leading to a more emotional fight, like against Lucci in chapter 1070 when he protects friends. That would be epic. Luffy discovering romance through danger, evolving from a hungry pirate into someone who understands romantic bonds, maybe even confessing in the heat of battle, "Hancock, I like you. It's not just friendship." In the end, Luffy discovering the attack would be a spark arc that awakens feelings for Hancock, turning rage into romantic protection, just like Oda uses events to evolve his heroes. It would be epic to see Luffy, the free pirate, realizing he likes her, maybe leading to cute moments on the Sunny, with Hancock blushing and Luffy scratching his head. Liking her? Sure, is that like liking meat? This theory adds heart to One Piece, turning revenge into romance. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.